Howdy, howdy all. Welcome on into Goose Talks Film. I'm your host, Goose. And today we are tackling the new horror movie, Imaginary, which came out about 4 weeks ago. And I do apologise from the get-go if my voice kind of sounds like it's cutting in and out or I sound a bit different. I'm getting a cold after only getting rid of one a few weeks ago. So, yeah, I apologise for that if I sound different or if it doesn't sound great. I apologise. But, yes, we are talking about the new film, Imaginary. Look, from the get-go, I'm just going to say that this is probably going to be a fairly negative review. I'll just say it from the start. It's possibly the first movie I've covered since I've been doing this for about 8-9 weeks, where I'm probably going to be more negative than positive by quite a margin. But look, I try and find the positives in everything, so I do have a list of positives in my notes. But yeah, unfortunately the negative outweigh the good. But look, I talk a little bit about it before I delve into the spoiler territory as usual. I won't. I don't think this episode will go that long, unfortunately. But I'll try and talk as in depth as I can. Also, as always, we'll talk about the trivia and the full synopsis once I give the spoiler warning a bit later. But yeah, so Imaginary is a 2024 horror film directed by Jeff Wadlow. Now Jeff Wadlow is no greenie to the horror genre. His first ever feature-length film was the 2005 slasher whodunit Cry Wolf, which starred a young Jared Padalecki and a few other known actors as well. It's quite a fun movie. He directed Never Back Down, which wasn't a horror movie, but that was quite a big movie when I was growing up. I was about in year 7, year 8 when it came out. And yeah, a lot of people just loved it for the type of movie it was. And it was, like a very good young person movie. He directed Kick-Ass 2. Again, not a horror movie, but very violent. He directed Truth or Dare in 2018, which, not a great movie, but, it was fun. He directed the 2020 horror movie Fantasy Island. And a lot of people probably don't like to think about this movie because this was pretty much released around the time the world shut down because of COVID. So probably brings back quite a few bad memories for a lot of people, but in itself is a bad movie. He directed a few episodes of the remake of Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Curse of Bridge Hollow, which was, a horror comedy on Netflix in 2022. Then, he's directed Imaginary. He's also directed True Memoirs of an International Assassin, which was a terrible comedy movie on Netflix. So he's got, quite a interesting catalogue of films he's directed. That's what I'll say on that. But the spoiler-free synopsis for Imaginary is: a woman returns to her childhood home to discover that the imaginary friend she left behind is very real and unhappy that she abandoned him. So I think what is really annoying about this movie was the trailer was the first ever trailer was released either around about the time it was actually doing principal photography or had just finished. It was released before Five Nights at Freddy's at the theater, and it just had sound effects on a blank screen to make the audience use their imagination, which I thought was really cool. Great marketing technique. Going to catch people off guard because you have to look down their phone or they're looking at their snacks or, eating their popcorn. They'll hear noise and realise the screen's black and they'll look up and it'll get their attention. Sorry about that. If you heard that in the background, that was my aircon falling. Just so don't worry, I didn't fall off the wall or anything. Which I thought was really cool. It caught my attention, and then quite a few months down the track, they released the full international trailer. And what I will say without spoilers, it reveals a lot. I wouldn't even say release the best parts because when I watched the trailer, I thought, maybe they've made it look like this on purpose to leave things out that might spoil the film or blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, that's not the case. That's kind of all I'll say on that without giving anything away before the spoiler warning. As I always do here on Goose Talks Film, for a new release movie, I usually have 3 categories that I rank it by. which are go see these movies, wait until streaming, or don't bother at all. Now, you can still see this at the movies in select places. It has been out for 4 weeks and didn't do massive well at the box office. It has made a profit. The budget was around about 11 million, and it's grossed about 32 million worldwide. So, and the marketing wasn't overly extensive. So I couldn't imagine that the marketing budget would have been very much. So it's probably made a bit of money, and it's now on digital, so you can rent or buy it on digital. So they'll make a little bit of money there. But yeah, look, for the true diehard horror fans that try and watch every horror movie that comes out as they can, like myself, and there's been a lot come out, but unfortunately for me, my local theatre, they're only a small theatre, and they do really, really well for such a small town. We don't always get every horror movie, so I missed out on Immaculate. I missed out on Stop Motion. I don't think we're getting Late Night with the Devil, unfortunately, which is looking like to be one of the best horror movies of the year. But the new Omen has come out at their local theatre, so I really hope I can tackle that in the next week and review that. Then we have, lots of other horror movies coming out this year as well, which Abigail comes out in a few weeks, which is one I really, really want to see. But anyway, look, if you're a true horror fan, I wouldn't say it's the worst horror movie ever made, and don't, by all means, watch it. No, it's not that bad. But if you're either a casual horror fan or you're a horror fan that doesn't have a lot of time to watch movies, so you really just have to pick and choose what you watch, and you kind of have a lucky dip on what your pick is hopefully good. I would only recommend this on digital or the theatre to diehard horror fans. Look, the theatre isn't going to enhance your experience of this movie, but as I always say, if you want to watch a movie, if you really want to and you can afford it, whatever, go support your local cinemas. It's so important to support them. So if you're going to go anyway, go. I'm not saying don't go to the movies. If you think about going and you're 50-50, just still go. What I'm saying is, a movie like, I haven't even seen it yet, but the new Godzilla Kong movie, right? Well, everyone's going to say go see the movies because it's going to enhance your experience so much. With this movie, if you don't really want to go out, it's getting colder here in South Australia, and you don't want to brave it or whatever reason, then just rent it at home. It's like I said, it's on digital. You can rent or buy it, or maybe wait a few weeks and it might come down in price to rent. But I wouldn't give this a strong recommend in any category. If you're a really casual horror fan and you watch maybe only the few big ones or the ones that have really good word of mouth, then you're not even going to hear about this one anyway. This is going to be forgotten in a few months. And it won't even be remembered for being super bad because it's just not memorable at all. So yeah, that's my recommendation on that. That's pretty much all I'll focus on in the spoiler-free territory. And yeah, now here's your warning for spoilers. We're going to delve deeply into this movie, which includes heavy spoilers and pretty much everything you need to know about the movie. So if you want to watch it, don't want anything spoiled, then pause, watch the movie, and then jump right back in with me. All right, so the full synopsis has been released for this movie, so we'll read through it. It's not too long, but please bear with me. Hopefully I don't trip up my words too much, but we'll get into it. Children's book author Jessica is married to musician Max. Max has 2 daughters from his first marriage, younger daughter Alice and teenager Taylor. Alice enjoys Jessica, but Taylor keeps her at arm's length. Jessica is plagued by nightmares which include her mentally ill father Ben and a fictional character from her book Simon the Spider. When the family moves into Jessica's childhood home, Alice discovers a teddy bear in the basement named Chauncey and quickly forms a bond with him. An elderly neighbour named Gloria, who babysat Jessica when she was a child, reunites with her. Gloria shares memories of Jessica's childhood which she cannot remember. Alice and Taylor's mentally disturbed biological mother, Samantha, sneaks into the house to see her daughters and attacks Jessica. When the police arrive to arrest Samantha, Taylor confesses to texting her. Jessica then puts Alice and Chauncey to bed and remarks that she had a similar childhood friend. Max leaves to embark on tour, and Alice becomes hyper-focused on a scavenger hunt she claims was given to her by Chauncey. Chauncey's overwhelming presence in Alice's life begins to disturb Jessica. One day when Jessica leaves to visit Ben, Taylor invites an acquaintance over, Liam. Liam grabs a bottle of liquor, which he accidentally shatters. He attempts to find a towel before being toyed with by Chauncey, who briefly turns into a monstrous bear. Jessica arrives back home, angering Taylor. Jessica narrowly stops Alice from slamming her hand down onto a nail, prompting her to call a child psychologist named Dr. Soto. Soto observes Alice talk to Chauncey while also speaking on his behalf. Chauncey makes threatening remarks towards Jessica, and Alice sobs over their crumbling friendship. Jessica later discovers that not only she and Alice can see the stuffed bear, Soto then shows Jessica footage of a past patient who uses the same phrase as Alice, never ever. Alice disappears after speaking to Chauncey, which Taylor blames her stepmother for. Taylor meets Gloria, who tells her that Chauncey was also Jessica's childhood imaginary friend. Gloria explains to Taylor that imaginary friends are spirits who tether to the young and can become sinister if abandoned, which Jessica did with Chauncey at home. Jessica goes through her old belongings and finds drawings of Chauncey and of the Never Ever. All three women complete the scavenger hunt together, resulting in a glowing door leading to the Never Ever realm to reappear. In the Never Ever realm, the group find a door showing Jessica's repressed memories. As a child, Jessica was lured by Chauncey into the Never Ever. Ben had rescued her, but he became mad in the process after seeing Chauncey's eyes. Afterwards, Jessica was sent to live with her grandparents. Gloria closes the escape route, having become obsessed with the realm throughout her life. Gloria is savagely mauled by Chauncey when a door opens beside her. Jessica and Taylor rush off, searching for Alice. Both find Alice and attempt to escape while Chauncey pursues behind them. Jessica is able to stop Chauncey by stabbing him in the eye with scissors. After reuniting with Ben and Max at Ben's institution, Jessica realizes that she is still stuck in the Never Ever. Chauncey used Alice's bait to get to Jessica and seeks revenge for her prior abandonment. Taylor arrives and saves Jessica. Chauncey turns to his true form akin to Simon. The spider tries to turn Jessica and Taylor insane with his eyes, but Alice sets the creature on fire and seals him behind the door. The family escapes as the house burns to the ground. The family check into a hotel but are frightened by a child playing with his teddy bear who resembles Chauncey. The three leave to another hotel for their safety. The end. Alright, well, yeah, look. Shit. Where do I start? I mean, this movie is just convoluted and just lazy, boring, so fucking unoriginal that, like, it hurt my feelings watching this movie. And it tells you one thing, Universal, they have what they call a first look deal with Blumhouse, which means when Blumhouse is producing, making a movie, they give it to Universal, and then Universal, they have the first chance opportunity to distribute it themselves, or they pass on it and then someone else has the opportunity to distribute it. Universal said no, which Universal usually distributes majority of Blumhouse's titles. So that was a bad sign from the start, which I didn't realise that until doing research after watching the film. And yeah, Lionsgate released the movie. Like I said, the budget was between 10 to 12 million, around about 11, and it actually grossed nearly 37 million. I must have been looking at an old figure. Excuse me. But yeah, look, just even the opening scene is our main character, Jessica, played by DeWanda Wise, who is a very great actress, and a lot of people will know her as the pilot from the third Jurassic World film. So, casting her, very recognisable. Yeah, the only recognisable actor in this, maybe except for Tom Payne, I think his name is. He was the lead in a TV show, which I actually forget the name of, that I actually watched, but it was actually quite good. It was a crime procedure show. But yeah, the opening scene is her having a nightmare that she's being chased by like this spider creature that turns out to be the main character in a book series of hers. She's quite a accomplished writer / illustrator. Yeah, look, the opening scene of the movie being a nightmare / dream is a very old trope that's been around, not only in horror movies, but just movies in general. Look, and it might seem like I'm picking on just this stuff that a lot of movies do, but the thing is, when a movie's this bad and it is so unoriginal and so lazy, all these things get amplified because you think, oh yeah, that's pretty shit. Oh, you know what? That was just as shit. Well, yeah, so was that bit. And then you just create this hate ball for a movie, and that might be strong because, look, this isn't the worst movie I've seen. And I'm going to be super negative in this review, like I said at the top of the podcast, but there are some redeeming qualities, which I will talk about. It's not going to be 100% negative, but it's probably going to be 90 to 10. negative to positive. But yeah, look, this movie's just, it hits all the beats of a normal hour and 30, hour and 40 movie. Nothing new, not really a breath of fresh air, like nothing really positively strong. Um, yeah, for such a, I mean, we're getting, like I said earlier, an ample amount of horror movies just in the first half of this year, and this is definitely going to be down towards the bottom. And I did say in the podcast, and I've had quite a few listeners say to me that I was a bit too positive with Baghead, but now seeing them both, I'd much prefer Baghead to this, and I've actually rewatched Baghead now. It's on digital. It's much better movie, and that had a budget of like 2-3 million. And this had quadruple that. So you have to compare movies, especially when they come out relatively almost the same time. Baghead come out not long before Imaginary did. It did take me 4 weeks to see Imaginary, just under 4 weeks. But yeah, that's what you could do is compare. You have movies like Immaculate that's come out that's getting mixed reviews, which for a horror movie, don't ever let that turn you away, like mixed reviews from critics or even some audiences, because a lot of them aren't horror fans. So they're just going to shit on horror. Mixed reviews for a horror movie is good. It's good. This is getting very negative reviews. He's got a 4.7 on IMDb, which we all know is voted on majority by audience. Don't even know what this Rotten Tomatoes is, but it will be less than 10%. If not, then the reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes are on crack. But yeah, just there. Look, I'll bring up a positive. There was the scene with what's her name, Alice, the youngest daughter, when she's just gotten Chauncey, and Jessica still thinks it's cute because she doesn't know anything sinister. She doesn't remember anything from her childhood. Alice is sitting there having a tea party, and Jessica can hear her talking and thinks it's funny, so she's recording for Max, so she sent it to him because he's away performing and whatnot. And you only see half the table because she's peeking around the door not to get Alice's attention. And yeah, Alice is talking, and then you hear her voice respond, and it's a very quiet whisper type noise. And I thought, okay, that doesn't sound like, because at that point we already know Alice had been doing both voices. She'd been doing a more sinister voice for Chauncey's response, and then obviously her normal voice, and this didn't sound like either. And I thought, oh, that's kind of creepy, kind of well done, the way it was shot. And then it turns out it was actually Alice's mum. She'd escaped the asylum and was in there with her, and she attacks Jessica. That was, yeah, look, it wasn't a jump scare, it didn't scare me, but it was creepy, it was eerie. I thought that was really cool. Probably one of the highlights in terms of actually being scary for a horror movie. Look, the cast in terms of the characters and all that, majority likable. There's not one character I thought, oh, they're acting so shit or written terribly bad, but a few of these characters aren't written great. And the problem is a few of these notes are positive, but then I had to kind of turn them into negative because, I'd write notes as I'm watching it. In the first half, I thought, the acting was good. I thought the dialogue was good. I thought the writing, it was okay. And at that point, I hadn't seen all these fucking tropes and unoriginal ideas and scenes. But I'd said the acting and all that was good with all the cast. And then a few of them I had to turn negative because of the climax acting in the second half. Like, we have Gloria, the next door neighbor. She's an elderly lady, in her 60s, 70s that used to babysit Jessica when she was a kid. And yeah, she was quite good. She gave us like an expedition dump, which you always have to have those side characters do in a lot of horror movies, which that didn't bother me. And I thought the actress was, doing a good job. She was acting quite good. I thought she was likable. Then she rocks up to help them, which I thought, oh, that's cool. I thought we were going to get her for a few scenes, and then when they get into the Never Ever, the imagination. Sorry, South Park. The imaginary place where Chauncey lives and drags people into, which I'll get to that design later. That's another positive. Gloria just changes. The actress starts camping it up. She starts chewing the fucking scenery, something chronic, overacting her ass off. And then God's sake. Then it turns out that I guess she's a bad guy, but that she shuts. They put scissors in the door so they can still get out and doesn't fully shut. But she takes the scissors out, they're shut in, and she's like, "Oh, I was so jealous you left me behind, and we can all be happy here." Blah blah blah. And she's starting to go, crazy, and like I said, starting to really camp it up and chew the scenery and stuff. And it's like, oh, really? They just ruined an okay, decent side character. And, what was the point? There were there was no real point to Gloria at all then. If she wasn't just going to be a character that gave the expedition dump, helped Jessica remember, really, I thought that was going to be her role. But to then kind of turn into a bad guy because she was jealous and felt left behind, and she was promised by the entity that they'd all be happy there and if she helped bring Jessica and Taylor in. And then she gets eaten by Chauncey anyway. So the double crosser gets double crossed, but I'm like, that leads to nothing. Like, what was the point of that than a cheap kill? It's like, it was only, that's another point. And look, not all horror movies need kills. I'll always stay firm to that. But this movie had one kill. One kill. On screen. And that was Gloria. For what? Just for a cheap kill, just so they could have a chance to kill one person. Because he didn't kill the dickhead boy next door, which we never saw again. He shuts the blind on Taylor when he got in trouble for stealing his mum's pain medication or flu medication, whatever it was. We don't see him again. The dad, Max, just fucking disappears because he goes and performs. What was the point of him being in the movie, really? Just a lot of nothing characters. They're the two ones, Gloria, and I think his name was Liam. They didn't really create much. Liam was only there to really get scared by Chauncey for a cheap jump scare for them to throw in to try and scare audiences. Then he doesn't really cause any conflict. He doesn't really add anything. And then Gloria, just her character, it's pretty much just a fuck you. The character work in this is really bad, and I thought it started off quite good. But then you have the trope of, Jessica's a stepmom. She has a really bad relationship with the eldest, which is a teenage girl, but the youngest girl is more likely to have a relationship with the stepmom, but she's very timid, she's very shy, she's a bit troubled. How many times have we seen that dynamic? And I know that that can be real. Those relationships can happen with step parents, not just stepmoms, but step parents in general. But it doesn't always happen. Like, I know heaps of people that have said their step parents were more parents than their real parents were, and they were happy from the start because they wanted someone that was showing them that they wanted to be involved in their life, and that's what Jessica's doing in this. But so that's just conflict, and that's just an excuse for Taylor and Jessica to kind of bond towards the end because they bond by saving Alice, and rough. Now I'm rethinking it, reading through the notes. So it's very rough character work. Very rough. It's not even close. It's the worst character work of all the movies I've reviewed on Goose Talks Film, which is about 7 to 8 films now. Definitely the worst character work. The writing's bad. Like I said, just so unoriginal, and it's a shame because the premise itself isn't 100% original, and I know that, but the premise still could have been executed better. And I just look, I'm trying to be positive, but the positives are also turning into negatives. Look, I thought that the child actress Piper, I think her name was, that played Alice, she was good. I thought the writing maybe didn't help her towards the end. It wasn't so much the execution of her dialogue, just the content of her dialogue wasn't great. Sounded very corny. Taylor's actress, okay. Just very by the book and, not interesting. That comes down to the acting and the writing. Like I said, DeWanda Wise was good as the lead, as Jessica. I found it believable. I thought she did the emotional scenes very well. She teared up at the drop of the hat, but that's not something I'll pick on and say the movie's any worse by it. But yeah, it's a shame because I thought Betty Buckley as Gloria, the next door neighbor, started off really good as a character. I didn't think they were going to turn into, and just very rough character work for Liam and Gloria. I'll leave that there and stop shitting on the character work. But I thought the scavenger hunt, look, that was kind of telegraphed from the start. But the scavenger hunt that Chauncey gets Alice to do was pretty cool because that turned out to be pretty much gathering ingredients for a ritual, pretty much to open the door so Chauncey could get Alice into the Never Ever. So I thought that was cool. That was pretty creepy. That was a good little way for Alice to kind of get there because you kind of think, well, if Chauncey can just pull her there whenever or just convince her, then why doesn't he? But obviously they need to do a ritual to open the portal. That's pretty much what it is. I thought that was cool. Oh god, this is a Blumhouse special, this one. The creepy disfigured figure that just looms in the background while a character is looking away from the camera, like side on, and he's seeing him in the background. It's like, for fuck's sake. How many times do we have to see that shot in how many horror movies? Insidious, Conjuring, fucking anything you can think of. And like I said, it's a Blumhouse fucking special, and other movie companies copy that trope as well. But what? So that turned out to be Chauncey, or the spirit, whatever you want to call it. So if he was physically there, that kind of makes the story not make any fucking sense whatsoever. Because it's not like DeWanda didn't even look behind her, like she didn't even really feel a presence or anything. So that didn't cause anything with the characters. It was just there for a cheap jump scare to creep the audience out. But why? If Chauncey is able to be in that form, like his true form, and we see towards the end that it's kind of like a spider form, and that's kind of Jessica's main character from a book. She obviously subconsciously copied that for that to be her main character for a book. So if he could physically be there, I thought that he had to kind of live through the kid kind of just talking to him, kind of a bit like Poltergeist, really, where this entity's talking to a kid or a person and convincing them to do things so they can get control of that person and then get them into a place where they can actually physically touch them. And that sounded really bad. That's not what this movie is, by the way. That sounded really bad. But as in, like, they can physically be involved with the person that they're manipulating to come to the Never Ever. So if Chauncey's there behind Jessica, creeping in the doorway, if he's physically there, because she doesn't acknowledge it. So it's not like she's going crazy and she's picturing things that aren't there. She doesn't even acknowledge he's there. So what the fuck is the point of that? Just cheap bullshit. Just cheap horror bullshit that gives horror a bad name. It really does, and it's so annoying. Like I stated earlier, there's no deaths except for Gloria. That's the only on-screen death that we see. So that was a bit of a surprise. I thought that Liam was 100% going to get killed. I thought he was going to be a cheap victim, but no. I thought we were going to kind of get like a Chucky or movies, or like a Stepfather, where these side characters get picked off because they start to get a bit suspicious. But no, that didn't happen. I'll go to a positive. The Never Ever, like behind the little door, that was very, very cool. I definitely got like Labyrinth vibes and a lot of different painting vibes from that. The way, like, with the checkered black and white floor and the way it's discontorted and upside down, and that was really cool. That's kind of what not like in terms of that design, but they obviously spent a lot of the budget on this because it looked like it was half physical set production and then the other half was CGI. Kind of what I expect in Baghead, without giving spoilers for that. But behind the hole in the wall, I expected way more to happen in that movie, but obviously they didn't have the budget to do that. And then they actually, thank God they gave us that in this, because that gave it a positive. It was cool. They spent a bit of time of the climax in the Never Ever. That was really cool. The characters, come across some fears and come across Alice, who's, imagined all the stuff she's ever wanted, like presents and a dress and her mother being a loving mother and all this. So yeah, I thought that was good. The design was really good. The upside down stairs and the coloring and all that. Yeah, really gave me Labyrinth vibes, so which I appreciated because I really love Labyrinth. So that was really cool. That was a nice little touch. Not really a lot to talk about the Never Ever because they did spend a bit of time there, but a lot of the time they were in like rooms that looked like real life rooms. The creating a new escape door to escape was like convoluted and just predictable and just fucking stupid. Where they could just like imagine and create and paint a door to escape from the Never Ever. Like, and Chauncey doesn't really do much to try and stop them until they're about to walk through it. Which I'm like, if this thing's an entity and wants to keep these people here, surely they would know that if someone can create a fucking door out of there, they would know about it and would stop them straight away. But they don't until last minute. That was really, really, really dumb. Really, really dumb. And yeah, look, the ending was just a big fuck you as well. A big, big fuck you. Where Jessica stays back to fight off Chauncey while the two girls escape, and then she runs away and is about to be attacked by Chauncey, and she's trying to pry the door open that was previously shut by Gloria. And just so happens that Taylor opens the door and she escapes through it, and then we flash forward and she's in the hospital and she's reading a newly written story to her dad in the bed, and they're all there, and both girls say to love her, and Alice calls her mum. I'm like, oh, you fucking kidding me? She's still in the Never Ever. And yes, she looks at Alice's arms and sees there's no scars there and realizes she's still there. Oh my fucking God, how many times have we seen this? How many times? And like I said earlier, I'm picking on all this stuff and being so harsh because when there's that much of this shit, you just can't help but be negative. Everything gets amplified in a negative light. And I could fucking telegraph this and it was going to happen as soon as they got into Never Ever. I'm like, well, I know what's going to happen. Either Jessica, one of the other characters, is going to think they're escaping, but they're not. And I thought, okay, is this going to be a similar situation to other horror movies where they're not afraid to give you a shock ending, an ending where it's not a happy ending, it's not an ending you might want, but it makes sense. I thought, okay, is Jessica going to sacrifice herself to save her kids, but how's this really going to end and how's this really going to tie up? And then Taylor comes in with a fucking hockey stick, clobbers Chauncey over the head. I think it's taken the look of the dad at this point. They run away and they escape through the door. And then Jessica tries to do what her dad did and puts the paint or the tar over it, whatever it is. And then it starts to look into Jessica and Taylor's eyes. But another inconsistency, this happens in a lot of movies too, by the way, where the length of time that the dad was stared in the eyes by Chauncey was like 4 to 5 seconds, and he lost all cognitive ability and lost his sight and stuff. He's staring at Jessica's eyes for a good 20, 30 seconds while Alice is doing her little character speech before she becomes brave and lights the fucking place on fire. Stupid, silly, didn't like it. The house burning down, yeah, cool. Telegraph from the start. Not telegraph from the start, but telegraph as soon as I saw the petrol or fuel, oil, whatever it is, getting spilt on the ground. I'm like, okay, well, Chance is going to get set on fire and the house is going to burn down. And that fucking happened. Yeah, look. And look, if you did like this movie and stuff, like, I'm not judging you for liking it. Maybe you were in a mood like I was for Baghead, where my expectations were super, super low, and I really didn't think I was going to enjoy it, and I enjoyed it and kind of realised it wasn't an amazing movie, but it was an hour and a half that I enjoyed. And you might feel the same for this. I don't think there's going to be that many people that do feel that positive about this movie. But yeah, it's just a shame because I was really looking forward to this. Saw a trailer for this about 4 or 5 months ago, and I thought, oh, this is going to be really cool. Different horror movie. We're so set for horror movies this year. There's all different ones. Like Abigail's about little girl vampire, and we have the new Omen prequel, and we have Immaculate that's, about a monastery and stuff. Like, all these cool different horror movies with like Late Night with the Devil, cool concept. All these movies are great concept. Night Swim, great concept, terrible execution. Exactly the same here. But Night Swim was a bit more original of a story, so at least I can give it that. This kind of been done before with the imaginary friend slash entity thing. It's not a new idea. They just slapped the imaginary friend label on it, really. But that's honestly all I really have to say about the movie itself. So before we get into trivia, I'll do what I usually do here. So we have 4 categories that we rate a movie on here at Goose Talks Film, and each category is rated out of 5, and then it gets a total score out of 20, depending on its ratings per category. So you have directing, writing, acting, and cinematography. I was contemplating next year, once I do the top 10 and bottom 10 for this year's movies, do I add a few more categories to make it a bit more fair? But what I've done is, I put cinematography, that's cinematography, lighting, bit of production is in there as well. The acting's acting. The writing is, everything to do with writing, the storyline, the full plot, dialogue, etc., character development. Directing is obviously majority directing, but that can kind of come in, kind of gel with the cinematography as well. So the ratings for directing and cinematography don't really differ that much because they're quite similar. But anyway, yeah, the director for this movie, in terms of his horror movies, which he's done about 3, 4, this is Jeff Wadlow's worst directed movie. Yeah, look, nothing original. The character, the design, of Chauncey was boring. Not original, not scary. Like I said, fucking stupid, terrible, cheap jump scares, which kind of ruined this movie. I think if it didn't have those cheap ass, lazy jump scares, I think my experience would have been a little bit better, because they kind of just made me angry and a bit bitter, to be honest. So I have to sit off 2 out of 5 for the directing. I can't go any higher than that. The writing, this one's going to be tough. As I'm always here on Goose Talks Film, I'm always a bit more harsher on the writing. Just because that's kind of where my passion lies for the filmmaking, is always the writing. And yeah, this is rough. Like I said, the character development is atrocious. The plot isn't very good. Not a lot of originality. The dialogue doesn't do the character or the actors slash actresses any service that's playing them. So yeah, look, 1.75 out of 5. Look, the dialogue wasn't the worst I've heard, so I can't really go any lower than that, but definitely not going any higher than that. The acting, like I said, unfortunately for the actors, I think the writing did them a lot of disservice, especially for the second half of the film. Yeah, and the acting kind of comes down to character development, comes down to the acting. The actresses for Taylor and Gloria started off good, and then they weren't very good towards the end. We didn't see enough of Max to really rate him. Alice was good. Then she got a bit silly towards the end, but like I said, that was more a dialogue thing. I'm pretty positive on that one. What carries this home is DeWanda's performance as Jessica. I thought very likable lead, did a very good job. Everything was quite believable. So yeah, the acting I'll do 2.25 out of 5. The cinematography, I could see what was going on. The jump scares kind of come into the cinematography as well. Kind of a joint effort with the directing and the cinematography on that front. There wasn't a crap ton of establishing shots and all that, but it didn't really have to be, in all fairness. There were some good shots on the staircase and whatnot, but there wasn't any cool different shots, or any shots that made me go, oh wow, that was shot really well, or anything that caught my attention, anything to really save the movie, unfortunately. As we know, some of the best horror movies are carried by the cinematography, 1978's Halloween stuff. This unfortunately didn't have that to carry it home. So 2.5 out of 5. I think the cinematography was definitely, out of the 4 categories, the best. So that's a total of 8.5 out of 20. That's a bit of a spoiler, but definitely by far the lowest I've reviewed here on Goose Talks Film so far, anyway. And so might as well get into the trivia before we land on the plane and finish the podcast. Director Jeff Wadlow cited Poltergeist as an influence on this movie. It perfectly strikes a balance between scares and this benign sense of wonder and excitement and emotion that you get when you have a family that you care about. Yeah, like I said before, even reading this, that this definitely borrowed a few things from Poltergeist with the way that the entity talks and all that, but didn't make sense of Poltergeist and wasn't nowhere near as constructed as well. The first trailer, which first premiered in front of Five Nights at Freddy's, consisted almost entirely sound effects over a blank screen, encouraging audiences to use their imagination. See, yeah, this one obviously new because I did state this earlier. That a bit of a shame they didn't more lean into the imagination part. The movie Taylor and Liam are watching on TV is More Bodies. Yeah, I did see Nicholas Hoult in zombie makeup. The family moves into a house on Elm Street in Springwood, a reference to Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, another imaginary villain proven to be real. Yeah, how many times have we seen fucking Elm Street reference though? All the time, it feels like. The scavenger hunt items on Alice's list are something happy, something that burns, a bowl, a paintbrush, a lock of hair, something that scares you, something that you would get in big trouble for, something that makes you mad, something that hurts. These are somewhat different from items on Jessica's list, as seen written on the wall in both her dream and her childhood room. The legible items from Jessica's list are something to paint, something that burns, something you eat from, something that makes you happy, some piece of you, something that makes you mad. So yeah, I did appreciate the difference and kind of what the different kid was, I guess, at the time, with Jessica obviously being a bit younger than Alice. Piper Braun's character is named Alice, a tribute for the famous Alice in Wonderland story written by Lewis Carroll and published in 1865. As her namesake, Alice is moved or transported into another world with fantasy creatures. Yeah, I do see that reference, and the colouring and all that of the Never Ever definitely looks like Wonderland. After Jessica, Taylor, and Gloria enters into Never Ever world looking for Alice, there is a full panoramic to show it like an upside down place. This pays tribute to Labyrinth during the final confrontation between Sarah and Jareth. The visual inspiration for both worlds is based on the works of Dutch author and mathematician M.C. Esker. Yeah, so like I said, definitely Labyrinth vibes. That was cool. That was a nice little shout out. And they did a good job of purposefully referencing Labyrinth because, like I said, I got that as soon as I saw it. So that was really cool. Although I don't think a lot of the viewers for this, especially like the younger horror crew, aren't really going to know Labyrinth unless they're like die hard. But look, I appreciate it, like I said. So that's all the trivia for Imaginary. So that pretty much brings the podcast to an end. Yeah. Like I said, don't think I'll ever watch this movie again. I won't really recommend it to a lot of people, but if you're a diehard, you're probably going to watch it anyway, like myself. Even when I hear negative things, I have to watch it for myself. And as I always say in this podcast, don't take what I say as gospel. I just like to give recommendations. If you listen to it, it's up to you. But if you want to watch a movie, watch it. If I've shat in a movie and you still want to watch it, watch it. Don't let me fucking ruin it for you. Go to the movies, support your local cinemas. It's very important. We won't have a movie industry without them. It's going to drastically change the way we view movies and the way that movies are made and how much movies are made for as well. If we don't go support these movies, then the money's going to be put into them. So, yeah, always make sure and make sure if you want to own a movie, buy physical media. Don't let anyone tell you any other bullshit. If you want to own a movie and it's 100% yours, no one can take it away from you. Buy physical media, because when you read the fine print on a lot of the digital places, when you buy a movie, like you're spending $20-$30 thinking you're buying a movie, they can take that away from you at any point. And now 90% of the time they won't, but it happened with Sony on PlayStation. They did take away movies from people's libraries and stuff that they paid money for, and you get no refund, you get nothing back, you don't own the movie. So anyway, my rants are over. As always, guys, appreciate if you have listened to this far. Thank you very, very much. The love and support I've got from both my podcasts, Goose Talk Film and Goose Talks Wrestling, has been really positive, and yeah, kind of makes it worthwhile when I'm working full time. I'm being a dad to a young kid, and doing multiple podcasts gets a bit rough. And also currently working on a novel I've been working on for 5 years. So yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. But massive thanks to everyone that's listened. Shout out to all the people that sent me messages and the frequent listeners, people like Caroline and all that. You know who you are. Appreciate it. Yeah, and for all the love for the Zone of Interest episode 2, very much appreciated. It might not seem like a lot for people out there, but Zone of Interest across all platforms had, I think, between 30 and 40 unique listeners. So that's, 30 or 40 different people have listened to it. So that's really big numbers for me. That's crazy to even think. So thank you very much. It's always episodes you don't think are going to perform well, like the lower level movies that not everyone knows, which Zone of Interest was one of them, and that's by far my most listened to episode. So thank you very, very much for everyone that listened to that episode and any episode in the past and the future. Very much appreciated. And yeah, hopefully the next week I might pump out another 2-3 episodes in the next 8 or 9 days. So please bear with me. I'm going to try and go to the movies as much as I can. There's a shit ton of movies out I really want to go see. There's still Godzilla and Kong I want to watch. There's Monkey Man I want to watch. Excuse me. Then we have Abigail coming out in a couple of weeks. So the first Omen as well, like I started. So hopefully get them done, get them reviewed, get them out for you guys. If there's any new movies coming out that you definitely want me to cover in the future, please let me know. Comment on Facebook, comment on YouTube, DM me on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But yeah, thanks very much for listening, guys. That's about it from me. I got to stop rambling. And as always, guys, make sure you watch those movies. Have a very good weekend. Goodbye.